Patricia Taylor, 76, stood in first class, only to be ruthlessly denied her seat and humiliated by a snide flight attendant. A pompous passenger sneered, his disdain obvious, until Keanu Reeves stepped in, leaving the entire cabin in stunned silence. What followed next? It turned the plane upside down and changed a life forever. Before we dive into this jaw-dropping story, drop a comment with your watch spot. Hooked on stories like this? Hit subscribe. Another stunner's coming tomorrow. Let's roll. March 1st, 2025. A cold, gray morning loomed over Los Angeles, storm clouds gathering like an unspoken warning. At the boarding gate of Pacific Wings Flight 217, Patricia Taylor clutched a worn canvas tote bag to her chest. She wore a simple navy coat, its edges frayed from years of wear, and scuffed low-heeled shoes that spoke of a life spent on her feet. Though tired, her eyes held a quiet resilience. A retired costume designer, she had sacrificed everything to raise her son, Keanu Reeves. Today, she was flying to New York, a long-awaited trip to visit an old friend. A rare moment of peace. As she stepped into the first-class cabin, the air was crisp, sterile, a sharp contrast to the damp chill outside. She handed her ticket to the flight attendant, a young woman in her mid-20s, blonde hair pulled back tight, her smile forced and empty. Jessica read the name tag. She glanced at the ticket, then her expression hardened. Patricia Taylor? This is an economy ticket. First class isn't for you. The tone clipped impatient, hit like a slap. Patricia hesitated, her hands trembling. Was it the cold? Or nerves? I know, she said gently. But I called ahead. They said I could upgrade if there was space. I'm not as strong as I used to be. I was hoping. Her voice faded. A quiet request, carrying no entitlement. Jessica let out a sharp, mocking snort. Called ahead? Who told you that? We don't just give out upgrades because someone hopes for it. First class is for paying customers. She jabbed a finger down the aisle. Economy is that way. Move along. Don't hold up the line. A hush fell over first class. A man in a tailored suit swirled his red wine, muttering to his companion. Another old lady trying to sneak into first class without paying. Typical. The woman beside him, a sharply dressed blonde, giggled, nodding. They always think they deserve special treatment. But not everyone was heartless. A young woman, maybe 20, dark hair, phone in hand, lowered her device, frowning. That's harsh, she whispered to her friend. She's old and exhausted. They could at least be nice about it. Patricia sighed. Shoulders slumping, she turned to leave, resigned to the cramped economy seats. But a voice cut through the cabin. Hold on a sec. A man in his 50s stepped forward, exuding quiet authority. Gray suit, leather briefcase. Richard Cole, an airline executive and Pacific Wings shareholder. His gaze locked onto Jessica. She's elderly and clearly unwell. You really can't make an exception? I see empty seats right here. Jessica folded her arms, defiance flaring in her eyes. Who are you to tell me how to do my job? Rules are rules. Empty or not, it's not her seat. If you're so generous, give up yours. But don't expect me to bend over backwards. Richard's jaw tightened. This isn't about bending over backwards. It's about basic decency. You're embarrassing her. For what? He turned to Patricia, his voice softer. Ma'am, take my seat. I'll sort this out. Patricia shook her head, gratitude shining in her eyes. Thank you, sir, but I don't want to cause trouble. I'll manage. She turned toward economy. Slow, deliberate steps. But the tension in the cabin crackled like static before a storm. And then, unnoticed amid the brewing conflict, a figure appeared at the entrance to first class. Faded denim jacket, dark jeans, a baseball cap pulled low, a man blending into the crowd. Or so it seemed. Keanu Reeves. His eyes locked onto Patricia, his mother. The scene before her. And everything changed. A gasp rippled through first class. The wine-swilling businessman dropped his glass, red liquid splattering across his pristine pants. Holy Keanu Reeves, he muttered, fumbling to clean the stain. The blonde beside him clapped a hand over her mouth, her laughter morphing into a stunned squeak. Jessica? Frozen. Clipboard slipping from her grasp. Keanu hadn't planned this. He didn't even know his mother was on this flight. But Pacific Wings was his airline, his passion project. Not built for profit, but to reflect the values his mother had instilled in him. Kindness. Respect. And now, on his plane, she was being humiliated. A quiet fury ignited behind his calm exterior. He pulled off his cap, and the cabin erupted. Is that? No way, Keanu owns this airline? Oh my God, that's his mom? The young woman with a phone, Lily, immediately hit record, hands shaking. Keanu strode forward, voice low, but slicing through the room like a blade. What did you just say to my mother? Jessica's face drained of color. And Mr. Reeves? I didn't know. Patricia's eyes widened. Keanu, what are you doing here? Her voice, barely a whisper, laced with shock. Keanu's tone softened for her, but sharpened like steel as he turned to Jessica. Why isn't she in first class? There are empty seats. Explain. Jessica stammered. It's policy, sir. No free upgrades. No exceptions. Policy. Keanu cut in, stepping closer. This airline is mine. I make the policies. And I didn't build it so my mother or anyone could be humiliated like this. He turned to Patricia, gently taking her arm. Mom. Sit here. And just like that, the cabin held its breath. But the battle? Far from over. The suited businessman lurched to his feet, face flushed with rage. Hey, Reeves. I paid top dollar for this seat, not to watch some celebrity play hero and shove his mom into my space. This isn't one of your movies. Keanu spun. You paid for a seat, not a license to disrespect my mother. You've got a problem? I'll refund you double right now. But she's staying. His voice. Steady. Unshaken. Victor's bravado? Cracking. And in the background? Lily's video exploding online. Keanu Reeves just owned first class to save his mom. Legend. And just like that, one moment, one flight, one stand for respect. And the internet? Ate it up.